Welcome to the Northern Powerhouse interview series, where we're unashamedly spreading good news by interviewing Northern businesses and their successes during the pandemic. Subscribe to be notified of new interviews or click the link in the description to take part if you'd like to be interviewed yourself in a future episode. Great. Well, this afternoon we have Andrew Firth, who's the owner of Ascensor, digital agency based in Leeds, who's going to talk us through some of the challenges and the wins of seeing yourself through the COVID experience. So, Andy, really welcome. If you'd like to introduce you to the viewers, I'd really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, hi, I'm Andy. I own Ascensor. We're a 13-year-old digital agency. It was our birthday yesterday. And we develop websites, web apps, native apps, and we provide digital marketing to drive traffic at those online solutions that help businesses to generate that return on investment and grow their business using digital.
Brilliant. Thank you. And what makes a perfect client for you? What would be the A-grade type of client? What do they look like and sound like?
Yeah, we're quite, I think, unique in sort of agency land in that we've got a product for startup businesses. So we've got a solution called Air Websites, which are WordPress brochure websites where we've pre-created the front ends, which mean that we can reduce a lot of the time in development and in testing. So we've got small business solutions for sort of general brochure websites, but also in e-commerce as well. So we've got a solution called Air E-commerce, which is startup e-commerce websites. I believe you should spend as little as you can on having a quality website that is going to represent you and convert, and then you can spend the rest of your investment in marketing it, because it doesn't matter how good your website is. If nobody's finding it, then it's not doing you any favors. But a real sort of growth area for us over the last few years particularly has been working with larger clients. So we do a lot of work within financial services. We do digital transformation projects. So they're projects where we're taking maybe previous paper-based solutions and making them digital. And ideally, we want to work for more businesses where they have solutions where they've maybe got a huge amount of clients that need to interact with them through maybe a portal. We've just developed a solution for Nobia, who own Magnet Kitchens, to basically take trade application forms into an online solution that's integrated with Experian for credit checking. So that sort of stuff, really. I think that we've got the full range from small business right up to large sort of enterprise and PLCs. The bigger the work, the more interesting it is for us, and that's one of the reasons why we're going through our ISO 27001 accreditation, where our final audit first week of December. So that's going to give us basically the highest level of sort of security accreditation to be able to give assurances to our clients that we can work with highly sensitive information data.
Brilliant. That's very comprehensive. And of course, you've got, I noticed on your website, you've got Leeds United as a brand that you work with, which is obviously is great having them promoted this year or last year, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment it's more the other way around, in the fact that they sort of work with us in the fact that we're an advertiser there, so we're a platinum partner.
Brilliant, I saw that. Yeah.
So it's so nice as a business owner to see your name up around the ground at the club you've supported since you were a lad, and I think that the opportunities that it presents, particularly now they've got promoted to the Premiership, are really big, and we're certainly starting to realise those now in terms of inquiries that we're getting in and visibility.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, fantastic! It's good to see that you were obviously sponsoring and working with them through prior to and through promotion, and it's a great place to go. It's fast, and one of the congratulations. You probably know the stats, but a lot of people don't. So statistically, unfortunately, 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years of their existence, and of the 20% that survive, 80% of those fail in the following 5 years. So to get to 10 years, let alone 13, you're in the top 4% of business births. So definitely a room for celebration, and well done.
Yeah, we had a bit of a celebration last night, albeit remotely, but it's just great to recognise these things. I think as business has changed an awful lot over those years, and people have come who haven't been there for the full amount of time. But I've got one of my colleagues, Don, has been with us for 12 years, about 13, and we celebrated somebody else's 10-year anniversary this year, somebody's 5 years. So we have got a really good sort of stable team, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why we've been able to make it through those 13 years.
Brilliant, brilliant, well done. And obviously, and also through the current situation. So I guess, part of the first question would be, looking back over the last 8 to 9 months, how has the COVID outbreak affected you?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly the business has changed. We moved into our building in December, so to be sort of locked, well, the government didn't tell us to close, but obviously the guidance was if you could work from home, then you should, and we've got the business where we can work from home, and because of the ISO work that we do, we already had a full business continuity plan in place, which was always been tested, so we were very quickly able to move to working from home. But getting into this building was 2 years of negotiation, pretty much 6 months of fit out, and then 3 months after being here, we had to sort of invoke that. So I think that was very frustrating for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you just got to get on with it. And I'm really pleased that we've made the decision to close the office before the government guidance came out. And in fact, for lockdown 2, which is going on at the moment, we made the same decision before the government's announcement. So it makes a lot of difference, I think, to be in control of your decisions around what is going on. It certainly gave the team a lot more confidence in the fact that, we were making our own decisions. We were caring about their health and well-being. And, we had a lot of people working from home sort of in between these 2 lockdowns. But in the main, it was because they were concerned about traveling to work rather than being at work, or they'd got kids that were going to school. They didn't want to bring anything into the building. But yeah, I mean, we polled the team in June to say, look, we're planning to reopen the office on the 6th of July. How does everybody feel about that? And everybody, apart from one person, came back to work on that day. And the person that didn't is because of his own circumstances. He lives with a vulnerable person. So, it was great, having been frustrated to know that everybody was just wanting to get back into the office. And certainly for those 4 months up until, 2 weeks ago, we were all pretty much in here, maybe on a daily basis. There may be 7 or 8 people that were working from home. But I think one of the things that it's certainly shown me is that we can work effectively from home. We've never really had a working from home policy before, and now we've got that firmly being used and tested. But I think that you miss an awful lot working from home. We're working on big, complex projects, and you pick up so much stuff by being around other people that are working in the same project. That a Zoom call's fine, but you've got to have a purpose for it, and therefore you miss a lot.
I think the other thing we've worked with quite a few people around leadership, especially of the idea that you can't not communicate. So just how you walk into an office will communicate something to people. So if that isn't happening anymore, it's replacing that with something that's perhaps a little more direct. If you're walking in happy, how are you, everybody? People get that. That's leadership. And so if we can't do that, then we need to replace it with something, as I say. So I can imagine, it's great, and it must be great to know that everybody wanted to come back into work, because that's
yeah, definitely. I mean, we said because we announced it before the government announcement, we said it was going to be for at least 2 weeks, and then obviously the announcement came out that lockdown was going to be 4 weeks. So sort of I've pretty much muted to everybody, we're probably going to stay closed now until January. But having said that, I did a week at home, and I've decided I'm going to come into the office every day, and have been since then. Our office manager's in every day. We've got a really cool sort of open plan space, so we've got social distancing and proper PPE and etc. all around the building. So it is a safe place to be. And I've just made it clear to people, if they fancy a day in the office at all, just come in and work.
Yeah,
breaks up that continuum of you can't go out for a meal or go to the pub. If your working day and your home life are spent in the same place, it's not particularly great for people's mental health. And certainly, we had a couple of people in yesterday that hadn't come in the previous week. So it's just trying to just be really flexible with everybody. And certainly from my perspective, these days I like to leave work and not work when I get home. I'll stay at the office until my day's done, and that might mean I'm here till 7, 8 o'clock at night. But when I leave, that's it. I'm shutting where it's not as easy to do that when you're at home all day.
No, I totally get that. Funnily enough, going back a long time, pretty nothing to do with the outbreak at all. One of my coaching colleagues in Australia, I know he got to he still and he's done this but for no other reason than it helped him, was he literally gets dressed for work. His office is in, he has a lodge built in his garden, but rather than just walk down in his, potentially in his PJs, he literally gets dressed for work, gets in his car, drives around the block, comes in, walks down the side of the house, goes into his office and works, and does the same thing on the way out. And it literally is that, that's my mindset changing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because the most important thing is, we're not just business owners, we're family people, etc. So it's changing our identity from one to the other and making sure there's still some people just do it naturally, and I admire them, but I like to find a way to actually change. I'm quite similar to you. I'd rather work here till, as you say, 8 o'clock at night and then go home and that's done, than to drift and have a grey area of I'll just do a little bit, which is.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a business owner as well, it's really difficult to switch off, and it sort of makes you switch off. It's like it makes you put the proper investment into your family time that you should be doing, rather than being sort of mentally distant. And I think that having that drive home, and you then engage with normal family activities, it really, really supports that. And
brilliant. 100%. So what obviously you mentioned a couple of adaptations. Are there any other key adaptations that you put in place that would stand out for you in terms of how you've managed to operate through the situation?
We certainly, in terms of adaptations of the building, because we'd just done the fit out, we invested a lot of money in it, but I did feel as though we wanted to make sure that when people, as I said, we did a poll, but I sort of did a few things to try and entice people back. So we put in sort of like an outside area at the office with picnic benches,
Great.
a smoking area for the couple of people that smoke. We built a device testing lab, so something to enable us to sort of simultaneously test a website in a live environment with multiple devices at the same time, rather than using software emulation. So we did a load of things to get people to come back. But no, I think in terms of adaptation, as I said, from an ISO perspective, we are geared up for a disaster. So we have to have the ability to basically down tools and set up somewhere else very, very quickly. So I think having that in place and being able to properly test that several times over the last 12 months has been a good thing. And when we go through our full accreditation in that first week of December, we're not talking about a scenario. We're talking about something that's actually, been properly enacted. So no, I think we're well geared up for that. And I think the main thing is around making sure the team's health and well-being is first and of mind. I think that it's really, really important. Mental health, as we all know, I wouldn't ever want it to be a cliche, and I think that we've got to make sure that we're protecting everybody's health and well-being and their mental health. And certainly the fact that you've got everybody working remotely, you're less in touch with them, so it gives you more of a focus as a business owner. And certainly my colleagues who look after the sort of HR and the team generally, we're checking in with everybody a lot more, which I think did continue when we were all fully in the office, and will continue. We've formalized our one-to-one process. We've got 360-degree feedback to make sure team leaders are being fed back on by the people they're doing their one-to-ones with. Right. So there's lots of stuff that we've sort of put in place around making sure that people are happy and feeding back as and when, and that's certainly been supported, I think, as a result of these lockdowns and COVID, and something that we were doing anyway, but it's much more formal now. We make sure it happens at the top of our agenda. Brilliant.
What would you say the biggest challenges you've had to overcome with the lockdown and the situation?
I think the biggest challenges have probably come from the demands of clients. We've got many sort of stories from over this period where clients have been in absolutely desperate need for our services. Other situations where it's prospects, the people we haven't worked for before have come to us needing something to basically enable them to stay in business.
Yeah.
You know, businesses are bringing plans for digital investment forwards because of these lockdowns, and every client thinks that they're more important than everybody else, and it's really important for us to show them that they are, whilst balancing the same need of all of the clients that we've got. So I think for us, you know, it's always a challenge to make everybody happy, and you know that comes from managing expectations properly, making sure that you don't sort of overpromise anything. You know, if anything, you underpromise and you overdeliver.
Yeah.
Making sure that customers are getting the same, if not better, level of service, regardless of what else is going on within this business.
Brilliant.
Well, we've recruited a lot, as you know, we've had 9 people join us in the last 6 months, and that in itself brings its own challenges. Fortunately, most of those people joined us between July and the end of October, so we have worked face to face with those people. So this lockdown is fine. We had a couple of people join us during the last lockdown, and it was really tough, and you know, one of those people decided it wasn't for them, and we never got the opportunity to work with them properly. So I think that definitely is a challenge in terms of new people and how we make sure that they're feeling connected and part of the team as quickly as possible, and that's very difficult to do when you're starting remotely.
Wow. So that's 9 people in the last 12 months.
9 people in the last 6 months.
Oh.
Yeah, so
and I noticed you've got 4. You've still got 4 vacancies to fill from looking at your website.
Yeah, I mean, we always have certain vacancies out there because would always have a job for certain skill sets.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we've got there's probably about another 6 roles I've got on my sort of short-term hit list. You know, I think that from our perspective, we've got to put the infrastructure in place to make sure that we don't overstretch ourselves. We can keep giving our clients the best quality of service and services.
Yes.
Certainly, we've done a good job of recruiting more sort of administrative roles around project management, business development, that sort of thing, where you know they're there to support our growth in generating new business, but also there to make sure we get work out effectively and quickly and you know on time and within budget, so that we can just keep the machine rolling and growing.
Brilliant. So obviously lots of things to celebrate. It's funny you're saying you've celebrated your 13 years, which is great, because a lot of entrepreneurial people that I meet have challenge with celebration. They're always focused on what they haven't achieved rather than what they have. And it's so important that we help people celebrate. We celebrate because A, our team needs it, and B, we need it to fall back on when times do get a bit tough. It's like, you know, if you can't fall back on these things, the things we've achieved, then sometimes it becomes even harder when we go through challenging times. Yeah,
absolutely. I think you've got to take a step back and look at it. And we were chatting earlier where you know, for me, it's all about the journey. And I realized that a few years ago that, you know, we as a business owner, we're not there just for the good times. We're there for the challenges and the problems to solve, and the ability to look back and think, well, you know, thankfully I made that decision at that point, or you know, that happened to us and it felt awful at the time, but I'm so pleased it did, because if it hadn't have done, then these things happened. And there's that always happens, doesn't it, in business? You know, however bad it is, there's very few times when you would look back and think to yourself that you even remember it. You know, there's at the time you can be so involved in something that's going on, but when you look back over you know, further down the line, did it really make a massive difference, or was it just an opportunity in disguise?
I like the thing I fall back on a lot is I know one of Tony Robbins' quote, which is, if it doesn't matter, if it won't matter in 5 years' time, it doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
And that helps sometimes when things do feel like they matter. But I was also told many years ago that the job of a business owner is to solve problems. So if I don't like problems, I should get out of business, which is quite a relevant thing to say. And the thing that I've sort of learned, and as an addition to that, is that if we don't have problems, we're probably not growing. We're probably not growing at a rate we could grow at, because problems come at the edge of growth, in my opinion.
Absolutely, certainly from a personal development perspective. I mean, you only learn when things go wrong. So if things go easy, you often don't know. You don't look at it enough to think to yourself, well, what was it that made that so easy? Why did it go so well? Where you have a problem, that enables you to change your mindset and develop as a result of it. A mistake's only a mistake if you make it several times, isn't it? And I think that if you learn from it, then it's part of your development.
Completely agree. In fact, our founder, Brad Sugars, I think obviously you're familiar with Action Coach to some extent, but he told me some time ago that he's as successful as he is because he's made more mistakes than anyone else he knows.
Yeah.
And that was quite surprising when I heard him say it, because it's like you'd expect, well, no, but it's the ability to move through mistakes and learn from them and grow that I think stands people out in terms of being successful in business. It's the other Japanese, I think it's a Japanese proverb or saying that I love, which is one of my favorites, which is fall down 7 times, get up 8.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as long as we're getting up more times we fall down, then that's we're getting there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I was chatting to somebody recently, and a lot of times, certainly during the first 10 years, where we were sort of very organic growth, sometimes up a bit, sometimes down a bit, very sort of steady. I see other agencies that have grown a lot quicker during those times, and some of those are just not there anymore, or they've recently shed loads and loads of people. Whereas for us, we've got a team of people that have been with us. There's so many people that have been here for more than sort of 7 or 8 years that I mentioned before, didn't I? Around a few of them, and I think that just gives us a really sort of solid base where now we're going through a really good pace of change and growth and bringing new people on. But it's all of the new people that join the company are surrounded by people that have been here for a long time, and it then doesn't give me those concerns that new people come in and think, oh, this is easy, the business is doing well, we don't need to work hard, because everybody else knows how hard it has been over the last 10 years to grow in what is a very, very competitive sector in Leeds in particular. So yeah, I mean, I think that now when I look back, I think, well, thankfully we didn't grow too quickly, because now we've got what we've got to be able to, now is the time.
That's fact. You remind me of something. In my first business, we were with 3 years of, I can't remember it was a big accounting firm sponsored it. It was called the Tech Fast 50. So it was the sort of, and we were the Northern Tech Fast 50. So we were in those awards, and I think the highest we got was 18 at 18th, and I think one was about 32nd.
Yeah.
But what stood out for me on the third year was of the Fast 50, we were only one of 5 businesses that were in there 3 years in a row.
Right. Yeah.
So that consistent growth is way more valuable than massive. And the business in the top 5 were growing at almost hundreds of thousands of percent. Yeah. They were going 10, 20, 30 fold in a year. And interestingly enough, and doesn't mean you can't sustain that, but very few of them were actually there the following year, or certainly the third year. So that, it's but what you've said and really resonates with me is building the platform for growth before we go for significant growth.
Yeah.
And that's the real sense of build the foundation, build the platform that then makes rapid growth very straightforward. So so that'd be good. I normally ask this at the end, but it'd be good to maybe catch up with you in 6-12 months time and see, because I've no doubt you'll be achieving the goals that you're setting out at the moment, which is wonderful. And just looking back, what adjustments? I think you mentioned a couple, but what adjustments will you keep doing? Once we're back to whatever normal looks like.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the working from home policy will continue. We want to, certainly with new team members, we really want to encourage them to come in and be in the office for the first few months of their joining us, which we've learned as a result of what's gone on this year. But yeah, I mean, I think a good working from home policy, and hygiene isn't that bad, is it? You know, I think it's a good thing to make sure that, you know, we're encouraging people to be hygienic, and we've got hand wash everywhere, and you know, we are keeping the distance from people where, you know, previously we may not have done it. I mean, you know, it is strange, isn't it, how quickly this new normal becomes normal, i.e., you know, you're not reaching, or certainly not reaching to shake somebody's hand anymore, and all of those things. And you know, I think it'd be interesting to see how, if all of that returns to normal, you know, whether you're gonna, you know, feel embarrassed by putting your hand out and being left there hanging, sort of thing. You know,
Yeah,
so it's just all a little bit um, odd and interesting, and we'll just see. But no, I think from our business's perspective, we've just got to keep putting out positive messages, which we've done throughout this process. You know, I think that the achievements that we've made for our clients, you know, we've got a beds company that's generating, you know, hundreds of thousands of pounds a month through one of our entry level solutions, bathrooms company that's doing the same. They're two really good success stories for us in e-commerce this year, and you know, we certainly see that people are more likely to invest in their own properties at the moment because they can't go away. There's things that they're not necessarily spending money on. So we've just got to keep on with that. You know, we did have a hit from the clients that we've got within the hospitality sector at the start of the first lockdown. We certainly weren't overexposed to that, and it was more marketing revenue rather than web development. But very quickly, the hotels that we work for got back on board sort of end of June, early July, when, you know, they'd got lost ground to make up. And I think the same will be now. You know, that they've got a financial year, and they've got a level of occupancy that they want to try and reach. And for other businesses as well, not just where it's time sensitive like hotel accommodation, but businesses have got an opportunity now to make up market share on their competitors, and to get out there and to show that they're open for business. And I think, you know, it's our job to show what we can do for those businesses. And you know, I'm really pleased with how we've gotten through what's happened this year. We're in a good sector. We've got clients that haven't left us sort of overly exposed to their industries. You know, we work a lot in financial services, e-commerce. Those businesses have actually done well during this period. So I think for us, it's just about making sure that we just keep on with the positivity, the help that we give clients, and making sure that you know, more and more businesses know about us and what we can do for them.
Great. We're certainly finding, and I think I support that, in that you know, people want, in times of difficulty, people want leadership. But they want people to be sure. And you know, and we're not always sure. So anyone that can come with a positive message, I think, is very welcomed at the moment, because people want to believe it's going to be okay, but not everybody can give them that message. So you know,
Sure.
a strong leadership message is quite key.
I mean, for first time out, you know, like every business, we were like, right, what's going to happen next, sort of thing. You just don't know how it's going to pan out, and then after a couple of weeks, you start to realise, actually, you know, we're going to be okay. And I think, you know, sort of, we've gone through the single biggest crisis that anybody, you know, nobody would have even predicted this, and we're fine. So we've got to know that, we've got that confidence, and we've just got to make sure that we help other businesses to make sure that they're embracing digital, and they will then be fine when potentially this happens again in the future. If it's happened once, it could happen again. So
I think I totally support that. I think people, you know, in general, will be open and probably sensibly open to the idea. We've had one. It can happen, and it will happen. So keeping some things, as you say, the hygiene side of things, the sanitisation, is just going to be sensible to act as a barrier to anything that happens in the future. It's quite funny, actually. One of my friends, he's an ex-client that sold his business, but he's always been into hygiene. He had a couple of things that make it sensible, and he just said, look, I've always done this, Chris. And what was interesting, he said, and you know what, I never get ill. And it's just, oh, go figure. So it's just like, you know, simple, basic stuff. In fact, I've got this vision of him. It's quite funny because he's a really brilliant bloke. And I know he travels a fair bit, and I've got to imagine this picture of him sort of walking onto a plane, and that's obviously somewhere where he would sanitize a lot, sitting down with his sanitizer, and everyone just thinking he's a, a hygiene god. He's this guy that, he's got his own stuff. But yeah, I think that there's some of the norms that we should sensibly keep to keep us safe into the future. So speaking of the future, what are you most looking forward to when we get something like normal?
Well, personally speaking, to go out and get a nice pint of ale. I think that I decided to do Stoptober, so that wasn't a great timing when we were locked down within like 4 days after that ended. Yeah, I mean, I just think to be able to do stuff with the team. We did a summer barbecue where we were able to do that outside because it's outside area we put in, and obviously social distancing. So that was a really great thing to do. But last year when we moved into the building, we had a great Christmas party. We had a company come in and cook us Christmas dinner, and another company come in and do some games. And we were going to do that this year. We're not going to be able to do that now. It's just about getting back to normal, where we can do the things that we normally do as a team. We're really active in terms of having sort of away days and events, and in March we did a laser questing and all went out for dinner and stuff. We try and do that type of thing every couple of months at least. So just that sort of stuff. I think for me, it feels like we've got a family here, and it's doing the things that reinforce that and make sure that we've got a team that feels valued and rewarded and thanked and stuff. And happy people make for happy clients. I think if everybody is motivated and feels that they're appreciated, then they will then pass our values onto the interactions that they have with clients, which is what is then going to continue to keep us growing.
Brilliant. And what have you learned about yourself over this period?
I think just for me, it's really, really important to only get concerned about stuff that is in your control. I think that worrying about the pandemic and worrying about the impact that it could have, none of those things, until they happen to you, until the things you're worried about happen to you, that's the only point when they're in your control. So obviously you've got to be mindful of these things, but it's really important, I think, to focus on the things that you can change. And this year's definitely taught me that that is the right way to be. It's not about being blasé. It's about using your energy wisely, isn't it? And making sure that you're making decisions with a sort of a cool head, and not being a headless chicken. And I think my team would agree, that the decisions we've made throughout this year have meant that we've not only gone through the sort of the last 9 months, but we've grown as a result of it, and we've helped more people as a result of it. We've recruited people, we've onboarded those people. We've made lots and lots of good decisions, and I think for me, it's just, I guess it's trust, isn't it? Trust myself in probably the worst thing that could happen to businesses in this year, and I trust myself to get through this if it happens again.
Brilliant, wonderful. And what challenges, if any, do you see as you move forward?
I think we are growing well, and there is a challenge with that. You mentioned before around sort of growing pains and making sure that we are not just recruiting people for the sake of it. We're continuing to find the right people. We're recruiting based on values rather than skills. Obviously people need to have a level of skill, but skills can be taught, attitude, personality can't. So making sure we're finding the people that will fit into our culture, add to our culture, and just become one of us. We've done a really good job of that this year. So yeah, I mean, I think the challenge is when we desperately need to find people to cope with the demands of our clients and the work that we've got coming in, not making sure that we don't just make sort of knee-jerk reactions and recruit people deep down, you know, in our hearts, we probably knew they weren't right to begin with. So making sure that we have you know, it's very much a buyer's market from a recruitment perspective, isn't it? Unfortunately, there are a lot of people looking for work, but from our perspective, we just need to make sure that we're the right fit for them as much as they're the right fit for us.
Music to my ears, absolutely agree. It's one of the sayings we have about recruitment, and we have quite a different recruitment process to most people, is that most people recruit on experience but sack on attitude. So why don't we just recruit on attitude with, as you rightly say, the base level of experience or qualification, you can train everything else in. So fantastic. And recruiting on values, if there isn't a strong values match, and therefore marketing for people based on values as opposed to anything else is absolutely key. So brilliant. It's great, really great to hear. So on the last final question, what does the future look like? What does it look like for you guys?
Yeah, it looks great. You know, for us, we've just grown by over 55% this year. We're coming to the end of our financial year at the end of this month. You know, we're looking to almost double next year. We've certainly recruited the people already to enable us to get to that point based on our headcount and the turnover forecast that we've got. So just making sure that we put the plan in place to make sure that we deliver that, we build in accountability, we focus on the right things and the right types of clients, making sure that we like our recruitment, making sure that we don't take on clients that aren't the right fit, because again, like sort of team members, you sort of do know from the outset whether a client is going to be good for you and vice versa. So yeah, you know, more of the same, making sure that we keep putting our processes and systems in place so that the people can run the processes and the processes run the business, which we're heavily involved in at the minute, getting our ISO accreditation early next month, and then using that, you know, we can work on more government work. We've done government work in the past, more of the big financial services work, the really interesting sort of highly involved projects, and you know, that more of that work is going to be the quickest way for us to reach our turnover targets, while still providing an excellent service for our small business clients through our air websites and our air e-commerce websites. And you know, it's great as well for us to recruit trainees there, because we recruit trainees into the air department. One guy that joined us a year ago is now moving up into more bespoke website development. So it's a great training ground project, you know, type of project for people to learn about the quality standards and the processes we've got in place. So yeah, I think just keep on doing what we're doing and taking the opportunities that present themselves to us if they're right for us, and Leeds United staying in the Premiership. And do all that, then hey, happy days.
Absolutely brilliant. Oh, fantastic. Well, Andy, that's just been an absolute pleasure and a delight, and a lot of great learnings and experiences that you've had that I'm sure everyone will benefit from hearing and would align to, I'm sure. So as I said earlier, I'd love to maybe come back in 6 months, 12 months and see how you're achieving your goals, because you know, I know I'm sure you get this because I know you celebrate, but you've grown 55% in the middle of the worst pandemic that we've seen in many, many generations. Wow, that's just incredible. So really well done, and I'm glad that you're celebrating, because you and your team, because I know it's you know, we're all in teams, deserved it. So thank you so much. That's wonderful.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for watching. What was your takeaway from today's interview? Please post it in the comments below, and subscribe for all our upcoming videos, or click for the next video here.